Sam Shepard's probably one of the most important playwrights of the San Jose Stage Company. We cut our teeth on Sam Shepard. He's taken Arthur Miller's American Dream and fractured it.
Sam Shepard being such an icon of American theater and having him recently departed, it's important for us to remember why that kind of theater exists and how it kind of fuels us.
I've always wanted to do one of his pieces, and now it just felt like the perfect time for me to be able to celebrate his life and his work.
Sam Shepard has this incredible ability to create these innately broken human beings.
Doing the part, studying the script, reading his other pieces, you just really realize how in-depth Sam Shepard is. Every line has a purpose, and it's very poetic.
We love the terrain of Sam Shepard. His landscape's a great place for an actor to traverse. Sam Shepard writes very specifically like Shakespeare, in a sense that when you're wrestling with his dialogue, you know when you add a word. You know you've set off the rhythm of his score, the musicality of the words that he has structured.
He kind of writes these gothic, epic pieces, these like mythic pieces that I think do a really good job of bridging the world between storytelling and kind of figuring out who we are as a culture.
He had the capability of creating these tormented relationships and these tormented pasts, and as an actor, approaching that can be very challenging.
It requires a lot of thought to ground yourself within the world and figure out what exactly it is that you're saying with his work.
I can honestly say that this is probably the most challenging and difficult role that I've ever taken on personally. And not just in terms of the content, but then also in how he writes and his writing style. Some of his phrasing can be so fragmented, but it almost ends up being its own language in and of itself.
Whereas on the surface it seems very simple and it's just how normal people talk, but the more that you study the script, everything starts to kind of come back in a refrain, almost like a chorus.
He's a concise writer, and it's a great challenge for an actor to ride that specificity, that conciseness. And when you do, Shepard's plays will sing.
Fool for Love is certainly one of his most celebrated pieces, and it's really well written. It's well paced. As it says at the top of the script, it's relentless. It just goes. It's one act, and from top to bottom, it's constant motion. And this piece in particular is very physical, especially for my character Eddie. I find myself in a couple of scuffles, and I'm doing cowboy tricks on stage, and it's just really tiring physically.
It has forced me to go into places both physically and mentally and emotionally that I probably wouldn't necessarily go into on my own accord. But I think once you do go there, and once you start stripping down all the walls and the layers and the barriers, it's been really interesting to tap into.
And Ken, our director, said something really interesting. He said that Martin, my character, represents this Greek chorus within the world, that while there's these kind of like really big Oedipal things that are happening, Martin just represents this mirror that's kind of reflecting the audience's eyes.
These characters they're so real and they're so human, but yet even though they're in this surreal world, and I do think that anybody who comes to see this play is going to connect on a level of the heart.
Fool for Love is a story of perspective, fantasy or reality, and how we create our own fantasies and turn them into our own realities.
It's really beautiful and heartbreaking and true to life, but also very magical and surreal.
anyone who has ever been in love and has been hurt and has been heartbroken will relate to this play.
I think that Fool for Love is an amazingly atypical love story that is messy and dirty and violent and really embodies all of the things that love brings about. And it's not sappy or saccharine, it's gritty and raw.